Hi, welcome to a cowbow tutorial with Stay Fresh with Peanut. I hope you enjoy this video. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that for the first 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how I smooth the edges with a hot knife. So if you'd like to skip over this part and you don't want to watch how to smooth the edges with a Freshie for a hot knife, you can just fast forward to 5 minutes and 10 seconds in, and it goes straight to the bow part of the tutorial. So what I have here is a hot knife that I purchased at Michael's for $20. You can purchase them at Hobby Lobby or Amazon. And all this does is just, it heats up really quickly. Rather than using a knife to cut off the pikes that form after baking a Freshie sometimes, this hot knife, it's really fast and easy. It slices off like butter. So disclaimer, use it with caution because it's very, very hot. It heats up in a matter of a few seconds. And so after it heats up, I'm just going around and cutting off all the spikes that form. Like I said, after Freshies bake, sometimes spikes form around the edges. It's a preference. You can leave the spikes there, or most Freshie makers, they like to cut them off. Some of them, they like to use the hot knife. So this is actually my first time using the hot knife, and I want to just say that for my first time, I really enjoyed it. I've always had a hot knife, but I've never used it on a Freshie, and this is my first time actually using one. So I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it. It gave it a nice, clean, smooth edge. So if you're wondering how time-consuming it is, well, you just have to be careful because one, it's very hot, and two, you don't want to burn yourself, but I liked it. So what I did now is that I'm just changing the tool bit. This is like a spatula. You can buy it in the wood burning part, like at the arts and crafts store. And so after I cut off the spikes, I changed the tip. And this tip is, I just wanted to try it out to see how it would look smoothing out the edges after I cut it off. And it worked really nicely. It kind of heated up too much right there, so it left a little burned mark. I wasn't too worried about that because I know I was going to cover it up with a bow. And so what I'm doing is I'm just going around smoothing it out. And because these beads are plastic and this hot knife is very, very hot, just be careful because you don't want to lose the shape of the Freshie. Because I noticed that as I was smoothing it out right there towards the tip of the nose, since I said it's very hot, you can, kind of change the shape a little bit. So just be very careful. You don't have to apply too much pressure. And I'm going to speed this up here. And I had a lot of fun. It was fun working with this, I have to say. It was really easy. It didn't take but a few minutes to smooth out all the edges. And you just keep smoothing it out until, you like the way it looks. So I'm just going around here. I kind of smooth it, roll it around. And, those divots that you see right there, it was nice with this hot knife because I was able to smooth that part out right there around the head part. See, I got rid of it, that little dip. And there you go. So after I was done with this one, I switched over to the hot pink one and I did the same thing. So I really enjoyed it. So just continue watching. I'm going to do the same thing on the hot pink one. And then I'm going to roll over and start the bow tutorial. Okay, so now I have my ribbon and I'm ready to get started with my bow. I'm going to cut about 15 to 16 inches of the bow, and I'm just eyeballing it here. I don't have a ruler. Like I said, it's about 16 inches worth much of ribbon, and I forgot my scissors, I think. That's why. All right, so I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut off that piece right there. Here we go. Yeah, I went to go grab my ribbon. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to cut it off. And I'm going to do a double knot. That's it. So I'm going to go right over left and then underneath. And the whole time I am tying this, I'm always holding tight and pulling up. Okay, so I'm holding it in place. Always make sure the ribbon is equal on both sides. You don't want one part of the ribbon higher than the other. So as I'm pulling and stretching and tightening, okay, you can see that I'm still holding tight and pulling up. All right, so now again, I'm going to go right over left. I'm holding it really tight and secure. Okay, I'm going to go right over left and then underneath. So I'm only making a double knot. That's all I'm doing. A double knot. Make sure the ribbon is equal parts on both sides. That is the most important. I can't stress that enough. Make sure the ribbon is equal on both sides. Okay? And I'm pulling up and tight. I'm tightening the bow. I'm tightening the knot and I'm pulling up. Okay? And then as you can tell, I'm just going to tuck it in under right there. And then I'm going to put it to the side, and I'm going to show you again with this hot pink one. So cut about 15, 16 inches. Go right over left. And as you're pulling to tighten, pull up. Make sure it's equal. The ribbon is equal on both parts, on both sides. Oh, I forgot. I'm going to show you how long it is. Yeah, it's longer than a ruler. Okay. So, here we go. All right. Right over left. I think I went to go get my lighter this time. Sorry about that. You need a lighter too when you're making this, because you're going to need it to fray the ends, to burn off the ends, to keep them from fraying. Okay, here we go. Right over left, underneath, pull tight and up. Make sure as you're pulling, it's equal. It's very important. You don't want one side shorter than the other, okay? So as you can see, I'm adjusting it both sides as I'm pulling it. And and then there I go again. It's a double knot, right over left, and then pulling really tight as I'm pulling up. And then I'm going to tuck it underneath. So that's how it should look. A double knot right over left, both times. Okay, so now I'm going to come back to the turquoise one. I'm going to cut off about 4 inches of a little piece of this ribbon. And this is a cheat bow tutorial, okay? So this is what works for me. What I'm doing is I'm taking a little piece of ribbon, and then I'm going to use the lighter to burn off the ends to keep the ribbon from fraying. I'm going to burn off both sides there. Be careful. Don't burn your fingers. Okay, so now I'm just tucking this underneath in the middle. I have my hot glue gun ready. And I am going to put some hot glue right there, and I'm trying to tighten this as much as I can without touching that knot in the middle. That's the reason why I cut the ribbon a little bit longer. All right, so you can see I'm just trying to hold it in place while I'm grabbing my glue gun very carefully, applying some hot glue. And then I'm going to fold it over. At the same time, trying to keep it tight, holding it down while it's cooling down, using my scissors because it's pretty hot. And then I'm just applying some pressure while it's cooling down. Okay, so now that it's cooled down almost, I'm going to cut off the excess of the ribbon. I'm going to take my lighter, burn off the ends so that it doesn't fray. And this is very important, otherwise the ribbon will start fraying. Okay, so there's a little piece right there, and I'm just going to take my hot glue gun again just to fold down that little piece. It's so hot I'm using my scissors because I don't want to burn my fingers. If anybody's ever been burned with the hot glue before, you know how that feels. So you want to be very careful. Okay, so now that I'm done and it's cooled down, I'm going to turn that middle piece around to where you only see the front part. There we go. Okay, so it's loose. It's not touching the knot part. It's loose. All right, so now that we're ready, I'm pulling up again because everything's cooled down. I'm pulling up, I'm tightening that knot. And there we go. That's the perfect cheat bow right there. All right, so we're almost done. I'm going to take my hot glue gun and I'm going to put some hot glue on the back part. I'm going to put just enough on the back. And then I'm going to pull up and apply pressure and hold down. And I'm going to hold it there until it's completely cooled down because I want to make sure it stays in place. So I never applied any hot glue on the back. I only applied it towards the front. I'm holding it down with my thumb as I'm, pulling it up. And I'm holding it in place until it's completely cooled down so it doesn't move. All right, so there we go. Perfect little bow there. Now I'm going to flip it upside down. And I want to cut the ends. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut one side of the bow, and it's going to be parallel to the face. And I'm going to cut it in an angle. As you can see, it's right there alongside the face in an angle. And then I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to turn it. Make sure it's in an angle alongside the face right there on the side. And there we go. I'm going to pull it up, tighten it a little bit more. Now I'm going to take my lighter, burn off the ends of both sides. And that, again, that's to keep it from fraying. And we are done. There is my perfect cow cheat bow. The cow cheat bow tutorial. This is a soldering tool I found. I've never used it before. I thought it was pretty cool, so I'm actually using it for the first time. You can use a roofing nail to make your hole, or you can use a drill. Typically, I normally use a drill. I like to use a drill, but I found this lying around the house, so I wanted to see how it worked, and actually it was pretty neat. It made a perfect hole. Perfect. You don't want to pull too high up because you still have to make that hole for the drill, or where that hole is at, where you left either the roofing nail or the drill. And there I go again. So I'm going to go a little bit faster. I cut off that little piece of ribbon. I'm taking my glue gun to tie it down. Okay, holding it. Always give yourself enough ribbon because, you want to try to not burn yourself while applying the hot glue, and just cut off the end. Use the lighter to apply pressure down. Use the lighter to burn off the ends, apply pressure down, let it cool down. And then after it's completely cooled down, then you can turn that ribbon around to where you don't see the back side where the hot glue and where you cut it. You only see the front side. See? Looks nice and pretty. Now, when I cut off the ribbon, I accidentally cut that little part of the ribbon, so be very careful. I'm just taking the lighter there to make sure, to help the ribbon from not fraying. I'm pulling up, putting it in a position that I like, applying some hot glue on the back. And again, as I'm pulling up, I'm stretching, applying pressure with my thumb, holding it in place while it's completely cooling down. I turn it upside down. I cut it in an angle along the side of the face to give it that perfect angle of the bow. There we go with the lighter. And that's it. How cute. So that is it. That is the cow cheap bow tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was so much fun. I really liked the hot knife. I'm going to leave the links down at the bottom of this video if you'd like to purchase a hot knife and everything else that I've used in this video. It will be linked down at the bottom. With the discount code, and I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and give me a thumbs up if this was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to Stay Fresh with Peanut channel for more tutorials to come in the future. I really appreciate you watching. I hope this helps you, and I will see you next time. Don't forget, #live like peanut or love like peanut also. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much.